So here we are, about to start our climb to the top of Adam's Peak, and in the centre of the screen you can see a group of lights, and I believe that's our peak. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so that we're able to take a leisurely pace and hopefully make it in time and ahead of the crowds to see the sunrise. So like with many holy places in Sri Lanka, here we have the Hindu shrine with a conch shell, I think that is in front of him there, and also the Buddhist shrine as well. And I wonder if we'll also have a Christian shrine. No, this looks to be another Hindu shrine. And as you can see, we're not alone walking up. We also have several guides with us in the form of four-legged friends here, who seem to be showing us the way. You may expect, past the gate, for the stalls to stop, but no. These would usually be open as well. We're just a bit earlier than everyone here is expecting. So for those of you following the map I put up, this is the Red Bridge, and if you have a look to the middle at the top, you can see the lights leading all the way up Sri Pada. Now these lights, if you come during off season, not during pilgrimage time, then this route is very dark, and I wouldn't suggest attempting it at night unless you are particularly confident at travelling through the night. Rather instead make it during the day. I'm sure the view from the top is quite stunning as it is. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see. I'm avoiding looking at the screen at the moment, as we decided to take the shortcut marked on the route, which, unless you have very good night vision or a torch with you, I would suggest not doing at night. The road is very uneven, some of it has steps, some has an uneven slope, I think is probably the best way of describing it. And I think if you are going to attempt it without any kind of light, you can check out some of Martin's videos to do with how to walk through the dark, to give yourself some sure footing. There you can see the lights marking our goal. Unfortunately, what I don't think this camera quite captures are the beautiful stars above us. The whole sky is full of twinkling lights. Right, let's carry on. So we're into about an hour and a half, getting on for 2 hours of our walk up the mountain. As you can see, the steps are starting to get quite a bit steeper. It's also very wet here, probably from the spray from the waterfall that you can hear, but we're not quite there yet. So we're back onto the main path here, and up ahead, as you can see, is a building covered in lights. It's I'm not really sure which building it is or what. It's quite round. I can kind of see a dome through the lights, but the top it looks quite square. What do you think, Martin?
I think this is actually what we've seen described as the Japanese pagoda. I know it doesn't look like a Japanese pagoda, but let's get closer and find out.
Let's have a look. Yet at the glowing building, we're somewhere else, and this is rather strange. It looks like there's Japanese writing, but there's a very Sri Lankan moonstone. Maybe something to look up when we get back. And someone here obviously has green fingers. So on a part of the path that's a bit more lit up now, which in some ways makes it easier, but in other ways makes it a bit more difficult because it creates very dark shadows. So it's not always possible to see where the steps are. There you go, you can see where we come up from. And if I go back, as ever, overlooking us are the lights of the peak. And we're up to another part with stalls as well. What type of stalls do you expect on a sacred pilgrimage climb? Well, you have food and water, of course. Supplies in case you haven't prepared for the cold at the top. Some plastic dolls. There were some cuddly toys back that way. Bracelets and hair clips. Wristbands. And shrines along the way as well. Some vases. And here's another cuddly stool stand. And just like in many other countries as well, you can get a holy statue of some kind to remind you of your trip. So here at the entrance to the Japanese temple, we have this in remembrance. Should we come back and do the Japanese temple on the way back, do you think? Yeah, it's very pretty to look at with all the lights.
You can go up now if you like.
I think
Whether the lights will look as resplendent during the day? Or?
I think let's have a look. But that was a nice bit of cheerfulness on this steep bit here. Now the steps have got very steep for about the last half an hour, 14 minutes. So we've been climbing now for about 2.5 hours. We're having to take quite a few breaks because my lower back has really started to hurt. But we're determined, we will get up there. Martin's even offered to carry me if necessary. See you at the top. I don't know if it's just I'm out of stamina after almost 3 hours of constant climbing stairs, or whether the air is getting very thin. But I wanted to show you this. All along the side here appears to be some streams. And up ahead, as you can see, is a police post. Wonder how much longer. Buddhist story for you, which I'm sure you've heard before, from China, which is helping me to keep going despite the back hurting. So Dogen, when he visited China, he went to a monastery and there he met a cook. And at the time he didn't realise the cook was enlightened. So afterwards, when he did realise, he sought him out and asked him the secret of Buddhism, of enlightenment. And the cook replied, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And this is a lesson I'm following at the moment. Don't focus on how many steps there are, just on the one directly in front of you. And I find that often helps in life. If I get anxious about something or too caught up, stop focusing on how much there is. Just start counting the next step in front. Although I have to say, I'm getting fed up with being out of breath. So, to give you an idea of just how high up we are, because it's a little difficult at night, in the middle of the screen, just underneath the bunting, you can see a light which is a bit bigger than the other lights surrounding it. That's the lit up Japanese pagoda. I can't quite believe how small it is now. It's very, very steep at the moment, and I think that orange at the top may be our final destination, but I'll be honest, it's difficult to tell from where we are at the moment. It's coming up to 4:30 now, so we've been climbing for 4.5 hours. Martin, it seems to be coping perfectly fine, of course, whereas my body seems to be a competition at the moment between my lower back, my elbow because of the cold, and my left hip that decided to join in the party. So I'm having some fun with this climb. So we've made it to the, as it's called, the last tea shop on the way to the peak, and we were assured by a man at the bottom there that just 10 minutes walking up these very steep steps and we'll be able to have our breakfast that we've brought with us. Right, you ready, Martin?
Let's do it.
temperature's starting to really drop now. Probably partly because, or mainly because, I'm so sweaty from having climbed up here, as well as the altitude as well. So it's just coming up to 5 o'clock and we've made it to the top. Here you can see the Hindu shrine, and just through there is the footprint. You're not allowed to take any photos or film in there, so we went through and we've now made ourselves a little camp. If I turn this around you can see us. Hello. And Martin has, as you've probably seen, kindly given me my jacket. We've taken our shoes off, as is needed up here. And now we have a bit of a wait until sunrise. So it's time for breakfast.
Zu lang Video, okay? War nicht egal, ich habe mehr als genug Platz.
Ich kann aber noch ein kurzes machen.
Ja, eher wieder Fotos dann. Darfst du ruhig viele machen? Darfst du ruhig viele Fotos machen? Natürlich wieder runter.
Now it's the climb back down. And this time you can see just how high up we are. And truly see how steep the stairs are too. You do get a truly spectacular view from the top, but not only from the peak or from the summit, but also on the way down as well. Just if you're like me and don't necessarily have a phobia of heights, but get a bit worried about the whole falling down thing, I tend to focus on my feet and the step directly in front of me. We're almost down, right, Martin?
2-3 hours.
Okay, now in the daylight you can see the Japanese pagoda in the distance there. And here are the steps we're making our way down. And you can see that the path snakes its way through the trees here. All the way down to there. And then, I believe, across towards this way. So that's how these threads get up here. We've been climbing down for about an hour, and just to give you an idea of what that means, in between, or in that valley ahead, you can see what looks like some water. Those are actually clouds, so we are still above cloud level, and overhead you can see waterfall on the opposite side. Right, that's Martin waiting for me, so I better carry on. We're just about to finish our climb of Adam's Peak. We've exited the main area, now making our way back to our hotel. What we've just seen there is a very sick old lady, from what I could tell, being carried up in a stretcher, which is being several people bearing, and surrounded by pilgrims, which I don't think is going to be very easy for them, especially in this heat, nor for her. I think this is going to be a very uncomfortable situation. There you go.